All right, back live at Gulfstream Park, the Carousel Club, and there's a smiling face joining us in the quad box right now. Set the scene for you. I'm at the Carousel Club at Gulfstream Park. Crowder is in a dark, nameless
Bonvoy
hotel. Loves his Bonvoy points. No one loves.
I love them too now, Crowder. I'm getting my Bonvoy points everywhere.
Loves the Bonvoy.
Yeah.
He thinks because he says Bonvoy that it immediately makes it a nice hotel.
Like status,
and
yeah.
I can look at it like, there you go. There's his QR code. Look at that. Some in-room dining. It must be fancy.
Oh.
But Bonvoy happens to have all levels. The Marriott Bonvoy really runs the gamut.
I mean, but generally, the minimum standard for a Bonvoy property is pretty good.
Crowder,
We're in a pretty good room.
Crowder was staying at a Bonvoy hotel with his family, and his son may have clogged up the toilet. And Crowder walked to the front desk and said, "We have a stopped-up toilet. Is there someone who can handle that?" And the lady behind the desk handed him a plunger.
Really?
Yes, it was one of those do-it-yourself Bonvoys.
Yeah. The DIY Bonvoy, the rare. I have fixed my own toilet at a recent Bonvoy stay.
You did?
Yeah, because the handle wasn't connected to the toilet. So I actually because
I can't even imagine
I called someone
going into the porcelain there.
Lifting the lid?
Yeah.
What's wrong with the lid?
Because do you know what goes on in these hotels?
It's just water.
Yeah, and severed heads. I mean, you just stay away from the inside of a toilet.
No,
at a
all I do
hotel.
is so I called someone and I was like, wait a second, what if I just try and fix this myself? And I did it in 5 seconds. Although, at my most recent stay at a Bonvoy property, my drain, like you pushed it down so the water would kind of clog up a little bit, and the handle wouldn't pull back up. So I had basically a not
I don't like the
drain
in the shower that you have to touch with your hand, the one that screws, unscrews a little bit or it screws down. Like, give me some sort of lever to flip rather than touching the thing itself. But if I'm Crowder and I go down to the lobby and they hand me a plunger, I say, checking out of 314 right now. I'll go anywhere at that point. I'm not plunging the Bonvoy toilet. Sorry.
Why not?
You don't want to touch anything, and you don't want to touch the shower. You don't want to touch the toilet.
You seem to have a general aversion around toilets.
No. There's
just
certain
get
things.
in there and get it done.
Certain things that I find specifically dirty in a hotel room. The inside of a toilet being one of them. Okay, what are we doing?
No one is
inside of a
no
toilet.
one is saying
perhaps.
stick your hand inside the
kind
toilet.
of feel like that's what you were
saying.
saying.
Take the plunger.
Kind of feel like that's what you were.
Although the plunger is a very dangerous game.
I have not even introduced.
You've got to get it right.
I have not even introduced Chris Wittyngham yet. He is joining us live here at Gulfstream Park at the Carousel Club. Chris Wittyngham is a television play-by-play broadcaster for the MLS on Apple TV. And he and I hang out at Gulfstream on occasion, and he is really not here to talk Inter Miami and Lionel Messi. He wants to bet on Woodbine,
which is a Canadian
track we've had luck at before on the simulcast here.
We once showed up here and just started looking for any race to bet on.
This guy was on fire at Woodbine.
I was on fire. Yeah, I won on a horse that was 22-1. It was incredible. My process was to stand at the kiosk, go to Google's random number generator, and have them spit out a number between 1 and 9. And that's how I won on a 22-1 horse. It was incredible. I'll never forget that day.
Biggest day at the track since Defoe hit the trifecta in the 7th. So anyway, Wittynham's with me. Crowder's at the Marriott Bonvoy in Nashville. Jimmy is here with me at Gulfstream. And Solana is in the studio in El Portal. While I could talk about plunging toilets all day, we do have limited time. So I do want to ask you, because you are the resident expert on soccer, what is the latest on Lionel Messi? Can you just give us the info on, do we officially know his first game? How much are tickets going for? Are they even in the realm of possibility? And is it all set in stone? Because I had read something the other day that they're still waiting on paperwork.
Yeah, that was confirmed yesterday by Chris Henderson at the introductory press conference for Tata Martino, the new manager of Inter Miami. And so the state of play right now is he has agreed with Inter Miami, but they have not finished all the paperwork. Remember, there are several deals that are being ironed out with all of the big MLS sponsors that Lionel Messi could receive some proceeds from. So all that stuff is being ironed out by the league, and he'll get signed over the line. He couldn't officially join Inter Miami until July the 5th anyway, which is when the transfer window opens, and also he's on vacation right now, so he'll probably be arriving in Miami, if not in a week's time, then maybe a couple weeks' time. There is no official start date, although Jorge Mas, the owner of Inter Miami, has said that July the 21st against Cruz Azul in the new League's Cup will likely be the opening day for him in the competition. Ticket prices, I think, at last check, are somewhere around $450 to get in the door in the supporter section and probably stand in row 30 behind all the drums and all the flares. That's probably where you'll be in terms of for the rest of the season, at least early on while the hype is still going. But that's the general state of play at the moment.
And Woody, I haven't talked to you about this, but I'm not the biggest soccer fan. Give me some kind of comparison. Is this Kevin Durant going to play in G League? Is this Patrick Mahomes in the XFL? Like, what's the comparison of Messi coming to play there in Miami?
It's hard to sort of give a defined example because there isn't really a comparison for a league like MLS, which has such enormous potential, right? MLS is just sort of waiting for the owners to kind of take off the restrictor plates and go for it and trying to become one of the biggest leagues in the world. They've always prioritized stability and, frankly, survival because of the number of soccer leagues that have come and gone in the history of the country. So I do think that MLS and American soccer is a thing that's waiting to explode, and it's hard to really know if there's sort of an American sports equivalent. Is there, a Japanese baseball league or an English basketball league that is ready to take off, if not for the addition of a couple of stars? So, in terms of the current level, for sure. I think Patrick Mahomes going to, let's say, a big European, let's use LeBron James or Kevin Durant, going to a big European basketball club where the level is still reasonably high, but it's nowhere near the NBA, right? They're mostly comprised of players that wouldn't crack it in the Premier League, in Serie A, in the Bundesliga, or something like that. The level is lower, but still reasonably high.
Tata Martino is the new manager. What do we know of him? Should we be excited about this hire? I would
for sure.
Said to Solana, I'm guessing Lionel Messi signs off on all this, and Solana said for sure.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting. It's a Venn diagram of experience in MLS, working with Messi before. There's literally one person in the middle of it, and that's Tata Martino, because he managed Messi at Barcelona at sort of a difficult period. It was after Pep Guardiola, who's probably the best coach for Barcelona in the last 20 years, left, and they're trying to figure out who are we as a club, and Martino came in with previous working in Argentina. He then managed Messi at the Argentina national team as well. He was there for 3 years. They went to 2 finals and lost them both. So Martino has previous of coaching Messi and also coaching Sergio Busquets, who is likely to be along the way as well, and took over Atlanta United when they were an expansion team in MLS in 2017, won MLS Cup with them in 2018. And I think the thing that's, for me, the most promising is that Tata Martino's Atlanta teams were some of the most exciting teams in the history of Major League Soccer. The goals scored, the brand of soccer was absolutely incredible. So I think even if this weren't happening, even if Messi and Busquets weren't coming, and you said you have a manager vacancy, who out there in the entire pool of managers would you want to go get? Tata Martino would be pretty high up there, never mind the fact that he's got the perfect experience for the job that's on now.
Yeah, and you bring up those Atlanta teams. Josef Martinez, who's now part of Inter Miami, was on that team, and he talked about it in his press conference yesterday or the day before. But, Witty, realistically, for this season, I mean, they're dead last in the Eastern Conference. They haven't played well. There's no denying. You add Lionel Messi, you add Sergio Busquets, you add Tata Martino. Like, they're going to be better, and who knows if there's another signing on the horizon. A lot of people feel like there might be. Realistically, can they compete this year even for a playoff spot? Like, I struggled to see how they can, even by adding these high-quality players and a high-quality manager, they still have a whole other roster that that is not playing at an elite level.
Yes, I will say a couple things. One, because of the nature of the salary cap, Miami have left resources unused to have the space open to go get Busquets and Messi and actually more. And so they've not deployed all of their resources. It would be like if the Heat went into the season $40 million under the salary cap. You would be worse because you're not using all of the money you have available to you. And so that, I think, is a definite caveat. But in terms of where they are now in the season, I think it's actually interesting. These next 4 games are really important. These next 2 in particular, you don't have Messi. You're on 15 points. And on MLS 360, which is the big show that Apple TV does, sort of like their Red Zone style show, one of the pundits, Sasha Kleshin, was sort of doing the math on Miami in order to finish somewhere around 9th in the Eastern Conference, which is where the playoff line is. They have to get up to 43 points. They're on 15 right now, so they've got to get 28 more. If Messi comes in with 12 games to go and you've got to get 28 points, that's a nearly insurmountable challenge. However, if you've got to get 22, that's doable. And so they've got a home game tomorrow against Austin FC. They've got a home game on the 4th of July against Columbus Crew. You can get 4 points. Heck, if you can even get 6 points, that makes the challenge for when Messi arrives so much easier and doable. That being said, if it doesn't necessarily work out in the league because it's too big of a challenge, you have 2 cup competitions left. Leagues Cup, which is the competition he'll debut in, which is the first ever competition between 2 leagues. The Mexican League and MLS will all combine. 47 teams enter a World Cup style tournament. Lionel Messi could be along for that. And Miami are right now in the semifinals of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup, which is every team in the U.S. enters from amateur teams all the way up to MLS, and Miami are in a semifinal right now. They managed, even while struggling in the league, to get to a semifinal. They'll play away at FC Cincinnati. So they've got to win 2 games in that competition against FC Cincinnati and a potential team from the Western Conference to get a trophy, play Champions League football next year, and you've already achieved something in year 1 with Messi. You've got to win 2 games, and you'll have Lionel Messi potentially for both of them. So I think that's probably where the focus will lie.
And Chris, Messi's a hell of a soccer player. Everybody knows that. But is it that easy? Because you're saying, and then you get Messi for the last 12, we're rolling. There's no getting to know your teammates, no getting to know the new coaches, no transition period?
It's a great point, and I think you're sort of assuming, right? Because in my view, if you just dropped even a good playmaking number 10, which is a position that Messi plays, into this team, I think they would be way better than they are now. If you just look at how Miami have played, when they get into good attacking positions, they just need someone to kind of open up the defense or play that vital pass, and they just don't have that player on the team right now that's playing at a consistent enough level. So in my view, it could be that easy, but that being said, there is an adjustment period, certainly to joining into the middle of an MLS season where Lionel Messi will never have traveled like he will travel in an MLS season in terms of just sheer distance over the course of the country. He'll never have played, frankly, with teammates at this level. He's so used to playing with PSG and Barcelona and the Argentinian national team. They are by far better level players, and so you wonder what the adjustment is when the passes are not played into you like you're used to. When
you're out there with Harvey.
when teammates,
I wish I could remember his last name.
At least you remembered his first name. I'm amazed by that.
Because we did a segment on athletic Harveys. There's not a lot of them. What's the guy's last name? What was the manager that got fired? Neville. Harvey Neville.
Yeah, we got there. We got there. But when teammates aren't
I had to use the plunger, but we got there. Solana was the metaphorical plunger.
When teammates aren't making runs that you're used to seeing, when just overall the level around you isn't as good, when opposition players will probably be physical. There will definitely be an adjustment, Crowder, but he's Lionel Messi, and you figure that he could potentially adjust to anything. If you make him the focal point of the attack, he'll probably have some measure of success.
No matter when he joins Inter Miami, if they don't make the playoffs, it's a complete failure, and they probably trade him? Is that what I'm gathering from what you said?
No.
I'm looking for something for the blog post for Solana. MLS broadcaster.
No headlines there. No, I mean, right now they're 11 points off the playoffs. That's a long way to go. And so I think it's entirely on next year. I think if you can get an achievement on the board, a good run in Leagues Cup or getting to an Open Cup final, potentially even winning it, that'll be a good start. But ultimately, it will have come down to how poor they were in the first 20 to 22 games of the year before we even got here.
You should have Apple TV for no other reason than watching Chris Wittyngham do MLS games. What game are you doing this weekend?
So I'm on Columbus Crew, home with New York Red Bulls, and then I'll be in Dallas on the 4th of July as I take on Wayne Rooney's DC United.
What's the best MLS stadium you've been to so far?
Probably the one in Cincinnati. Cincinnati's got a great place. Their booth is incredible. I would pay rent to live in that booth. Amazing. and honestly, Columbus is really nice too. There's sort of a new wave of stadiums that have come in the last 5 years. They're all pretty similar, but they're gorgeous. They're great places to go watch, great atmospheres as well. Columbus is becoming one of the most fun teams to watch. I can't wait to go there this weekend.
Which are the cities that have really embraced MLS soccer? I guess there's probably more than you'd be easier to say which ones haven't.
Yeah, which ones aren't.
Than
I mean,
those
all the new ones that like have new venues and just came into the league in the last 7-8 years. To me, the one that's sort of most startling is Austin, because it's such a small city and it's so centered around the University of Texas. Everything there is UT, and yet when Austin FC came in, they have completely thrown themselves into it, and they have not played a single game in their MLS history now, nearing on 3 years where there hasn't been a sellout. So, like, there's some incredible fan support across the league.
Wanted to bring up one thing. Chris Wittyngham, a very serious broadcaster with MLS for Apple TV, but we did mention this on the air earlier in the week. It was National Ice Cream Cake Day, and we're running out of time. But I did mention that you had shared with me via text that you bought an ice cream cake during the COVID lockdown.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You went to where? Publix or Carvel?
Yeah.
Publix?
Yeah, I was walking around Publix, and the one nearest me, you make a right, and sort of where the bakery is, just before the bakery, are the two fridges with the ice cream cakes.
With the
and I looked at them, there was an on sale sign, and I was like, I'm by myself for the next months.
You bought an ice cream
for
cake
myself,
for yourself to put it in the freezer.
Correct.
Did you have them write anything on it? Or
No.
well, why not go all in?
I did not stoop to that low.
Why not go? That's
fair point.
That stoop to that low? You've got your hand in the toilet in the
Bonvoy properties.
But he doesn't want to stoop to the low of having Happy Birthday Chris on his own cake. So you put the ice cream cake in the freezer, and would you cut yourself pieces?
Correct.
As if you were at a party, or would you just pull the entire cake out and just kind of use a spoon and eat it as a blob?
What I did was I sort of decided to approach it in thirds. I rationed it over 3 days. So the first day I cut myself a third, put it on a plate, put the ice cream cake back in the freezer, and then ate the third that I had cut for myself. Yeah, that was my tactic. Well, I was watching probably like Tiger King or something on Netflix.
How do we feel about the guy Crowder who buys himself an ice cream cake, cuts it in thirds? He's in very good shape, so
no, I'm not.
But he cuts it in thirds and he rations himself to a third of an ice cream cake a day.
The grown man buying desserts and rationing it, I don't think is a good thing. It's pretty weird.
Does it remind you at all of your Uncle Cecil? Is there? Uncle Cecil, sadly, is no longer with us, but also when he was, had no foot. Diabetes.
How's Chris? How's your feet looking, Chris?
They're in good shape. They're in good shape.
Strong?
I haven't checked the blood sugar for a while, so it might be time.
So you believe that ice cream cake, though, is the superior form of dessert? Like, why wouldn't you just buy a pint of ice cream, which is a much easier way to eat it?
Because, well, first off, it wouldn't be like the superior way, but you are sort of arguing that it's terrible. That
I don't like
awful.
ice cream cake. I don't think it's the right way to eat ice cream.
But it's still ice cream. You're having a delightful treat. You're having you
right,
stick your fork
but
in.
A pint of Haagen-Dazs is a delightful treat as well,
and with some frosting as well. Frosting is a good counterbalance to ice cream
crunchies,
as well.
And I will jump on you. We will go to break, and I will be pummeling you because adults that go, oh, and there's crunchies. I go, you're 40 years old. All right, it's enough with the crunchies.
You have yelled at me for getting sprinkles before.
It's ridiculous. No adult should be getting sprinkles on their ice cream because all it does is add texture. It doesn't add any flavor.
If sprinkles were called something else, they just have bad branding. Sprinkles. Like they give off a children's treat.
Well, they're rainbow colored and they're plastic.
Yeah, they were called like sugar sticks or something like that.
No, that doesn't make it any better.
Like I had some ice cream with sugar sticks.
It does not make it better.
It does. It has bad branding.
So you're going to get ice cream. You're an adult. You're going to get ice cream as an adult, and you're going to say and throw some sugar sticks on it as well.
That's how you say it. Hey, throw me a couple of them sugar sticks on there, brother.
Uncle Cecil would.
Uncle Cecil, this poor Uncle Cecil. I mean, now we see the family he was surrounded by. My brother used to call cigarettes smoky treats, and it did seem a little bit, more fun than, say, a cigarette.
When you were 16 years old, you're probably like, oh, I want to get into smoky treats.
He would go to Vegas or go to the track, and he'd be like, oh, let's get a box of smoky treats. Just, and it's like, oh, all right, smoky treats.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
Every time Solana says his dad is ripping a heater, it makes it sound a lot better.
It does. It sounds cooler. Yeah, it sounds cooler.
Yeah.
Eduardo's outside ripping a heater, taking down a dart. Right, there you go, Chris Wittyngham. So again, where can people watch you on Apple TV? You are Saturday in Columbus.
Yep. Yeah, MLS Season Pass. Go to the Apple TV app wherever you have smart TVs or on your devices. And also, I believe the rest of the season's half off. So if you've yet to subscribe, Messi's coming along, and the rest of the season of MLS Season Pass is half off. So go get your subscriptions.
Will you be doing some Inter Miami games?
None. I've not yet been scheduled, although we're not yet scheduled that far. Although obviously it'll be for the A.
I would imagine
the A-tier broadcast.
I would imagine that they're going to have massive coverage. Like you wouldn't just have a broadcast crew there. I mean, it would have to be.
Full studio team.
Well, it's like when LeBron came to Miami, and all of a sudden ESPN had the Heat Index,
right?
And it was like you kind of expanded, I'm guessing.
I mean, yesterday for Tata Martino's press conference, there was about 25 to 30 more media members that are normally there for, and that's not even for Messi. That's for the manager that will be coaching him.
Right.
So already the media coverage is growing massively.
All right, there you go. Chris Wittyngham from Apple TV. I'm at Gulfstream Park. Crowder is in Nashville.